Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and this is my DFS strategy video for the 2022 Wells Fargo Championship. Now, hopefully you had a chance to watch the preview video I put out yesterday, as I covered a lot of pieces I thought were going to be required to target the optimal lineup this week. If you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, I'll provide a link to the video, top right-hand corner. Go ahead, check it out, come back here, and you'll have a better understanding of everything I'll be talking about. But the strategy video is focused mostly on finding players to anchor our lineups around. And I'm going to be doing that by looking at the SweetSpot ranks, the Marquee tea time pairings, and the anchor buckets, which comes from the bucket system. Again, watch the preview video to understand what that is. But that will help us really target. My goal is to target 2 golfers to anchor all of my lineups around. So I'm going to give you my favorite duos to anchor lineups around at the end of the video. But first, before we get into any of that, I'll remind you guys of some giveaways that I'm running. I talked about this pretty in depth in the preview video, so go check it out there. But you have a chance to win $30 by just being subscribed and commenting down on the video below. If you need a topic, give me your 2 favorite golfers you're building your lineups around this week. And then you get a free entry into the giveaway. Again, if you want more details on this, go check out the preview video. Again, I discuss it in depth there. The other giveaway I'm doing is a prize picks giveaway. $20. I'm basically going to let you play prize picks for free if you just use the promo code SweetSpot when signing up and after you put $20 in your account. So I'm basically refunding that $20 back. Plus, prize picks is going to match that deposit up to $100. So that 20 turns into 40, and basically all that it costs you is your sign up information. But you can take advantage of the deposit match and put $100 in your account. I'm still giving you $20 back. So there's a link in the description that'll get you there. You can also just go to prizepicks.com or download the app, sign up that way. Just use the promo code SweetSpot when you do so and put $20 in your account. And I'm going to give you $20 back. You don't even have to do anything. I will reach out to you because I will get the email that you use when signing up. And it will show me if you deposited or not. So, again, link in the description. Highly encourage you guys to go sign up. I'm also providing a cheat sheet, which I'll show on the screen right now. That there's a link in the description of this video as well that will get you straight to this cheat sheet. All I ask you guys to do is go up to the file menu, go down to make a copy. That way it's yours. You get to do whatever you want with it. You can delete it at the end of this week if you want, but you get all of the information that I have been using in the preview and that I'm going to be using here in the strategy video. Goes over my recent form stats, which goes back the last 7 weeks. We're looking at strokes gained, just all that good stuff right here that you see. You also see season-long stats and then the difference between season-long and recent form. And all the other stuff here that you can see. You can also see tee time pairings, and obviously I have all the marquee tee times color-coded here. We'll talk about that here a little later in the strategy video. But this is available to you guys. Again, link in the description. Now, I'm also providing my optimizer. The optimizer kind of goes through this conditional box and tries to determine, what's the most optimized lineup based off of what you apply here. I do have a video on this. There's a link in the description below that'll show you how to use this. And if you want this, you gotta be subscribed. Got to comment down below, and then you got to email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. It will build lineups, and I'll build a couple lineups at the end of this video just to see what it looks like when we kind of go over the duos that I'm thinking about anchoring my lineups around. And you'll have a good sense of how it works there. Or you can just check out that video again in the description, and you'll see how it works that way. But those are all available to you. Basically, just be subscribed. Comment down below, participate on the channel, and I will reward you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into this. The first thing to talk about really is the SweetSpot ranks. So let me go ahead and get to my page and put a filter on this. And sort from top to bottom. So what you see on the screen right now is my top 19. I'll scroll down and you can see 20. Matthias Schwab is number 20. Max Homa's number 19. Now, if I sort this by salary, we see $8,000 is the last salary we see on the page. So if any salaries are actually lower than that pop up on this page once I hit sort by the ranking, we're going to consider that a value play. I'm not saying you absolutely want to play those golfers because they're just value plays. It's just giving you a better sense of how much better those golfers are in comparison to their price tag. So what I see right away for value, we have Matt Kuchar, which is kind of $100 value if you want to think about that. Johnny Vegas, you got to remember he had wrist surgery not too long ago, or he's been recovering from an injury. Joel Damon and Troy Merritt. And we can also, I mean, Matthias Schwab is $7,200 as well. That would be considered, that'd be considered value. So it's really just those guys. And in all honesty, it's not that much value. Like $7,600 Damon is value, and so is $7,500 Troy Merritt. They're looking good in my model. So play them with your own discretion. Now, when it comes to the rest of these rankings, like Abraham Answer is kind of the oddball to me. Obviously, well, him and Fitzpatrick, I guess, both in the 10K range. And we know Abraham Answer has been battling a back injury. Like, he had withdrawn from a couple events. He did play last week at the Mexico Open, which he finished, I think, 42nd place. I don't have a lot of confidence in Abraham Answer this week, but he has played well at this course before. In 2018, he has a 4th place finish at the Quicken Loans National, which the golf course, again, we talked about this in the preview, the golf course that's hosting this tournament this week, it's not Quail Hollow, it's TPC Potomac at Avenel Farm. He had that one appearance he played really well. He has the scoring record, I believe, at this golf course. So a lot of people are talking about him. Now, I'm sure a lot of people also share my sentiment about kind of being worried about his injury status. Ownership is probably going to be low on him, and that's okay. It doesn't really entice me to want to play him anymore. I'm probably just staying away. He's not going to be one of my anchor plays that I'll be doing this week. Matt Fitzpatrick, like, he's just a well-renowned golfer. He's number 27 or number 25 in the official world golf ranking. He's one of the better golfers here, based off of that ranking. But at a 10K price tag, I don't see it. And he is number 15th in my model. I don't care. I don't think I'm really playing Fitzpatrick this week. So he also won't be an anchor play. Some value that we see up here, Mark Leishman, $9,700. I don't think he should be a 10K golfer, but my model likes him quite a bit. And he does have some decent course history here at this golf course, TPC Potomac. Keegan Bradley's up there. Tyrrell Hatton is about right where he needs to be. I think this is exactly the same position he is salary-wise. Russ Henley and Patrick Reed seem to be pretty good values. And then Seamus Power also moving up the leaderboard. So take that all with what you will. To me, personally, it's not that big of a deal. The rankings are nice to see. Rory's number 1. I expect him to be number 1. I expect most of these 10K golfers to be up there as well as the 9Ks. So nothing is like really out of the ordinary here. But these rankings will be used in the optimizer. It'll be the score that's based off of the ranking, or vice versa, however that's supposed to be said. So my optimizer will like, the golfers better up here at the top than they will at the bottom. But anyways, what I like to use these rankings for is to go over the Marquee Tee Time pairings. So we'll get into that right now. And you can do this following along on that cheat sheet as well by, applying a filter, going to the DraftKings filter. And then I like to go down to filter by color, fill color. You can see there's 2 options. Go to the green one. And now you're going to see all the groups that I've highlighted. Now, I've highlighted 10 groups. So I'm kind of presenting the top 10 groups based off of the SweetSpot ranks. And then if they meet a threshold number, if they're under a threshold number, they are the Marquee Tee Time. And the Marquee Tee Time are really the golfers with the black font within the rankings. So you'll see that here with the first 4 groups. And then you've got this light green font. These are the honorable mention groups. They're not quite under that threshold, but they're very close. They are a part of the top 10 groups in the field. So I just include them because I like to have 10. The optimizer uses 10 groups as a conditional. So I just apply, the 10 groups here. But we actually have 7 marquee tee times. Now, the rule of thumb is basically divide that in half, and that's how many golfers you want to select in your lineups from the marquee tee times. So 7, divide that in half, that's 3.5. Remember, I like to go 0.5 either way. So I'm saying either anchor your lineups with 3 of these guys or anchor them with 4 of these guys. Now, I really don't encourage you guys to anchor 4. Stay with 3. I think that's going to be simple. So of all the groups that I've highlighted, select 3 golfers from them, from within one of them. Rule of thumb here that I've talked about before is never pair 2 guys up together. So out of this Finau, Hatton, Sepp Straka group, don't put Finau with Tyrrell Hatton. Why? It's a numbers game for me. I've tracked this for over a year. I've only seen 2 instances where the optimal lineup had 2 golfers from the same Thursday-Friday group. Now, that's over a year. That's 52 weeks. So 2 out of 52 weeks. Are you really comfortable with those numbers? Personally, I'm not. And I will take a loss. Like, I have no problem taking a loss by not pairing those guys up, because I'm going to be right 50 out of 52 weeks. And that is way better than being wrong just, 2 times. So that is my rule. And again, we have 7 groups. So you get to make you got to choose 3 golfers out of 7 groups. Personally, Corey Connors, I gravitate towards. I like Corey Connors. Now, when we look at some of these other groups, and oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Most of the time, we see a lot of these groups being like 3 10K golfers, 3 9K golfers, 2 9s and an 8, 2 10s and a 7, something like that. And we don't have a lot of variety when it comes to salaries. But look, we have a 6K golfer in KH Lee, 7-1 in Luke List, 7-6, 7-4. We have a lot of easy rosterable golfers in these marquee tee times. With that being said, I'm not anchoring any of my lineups around a 7K golfer. I'm going to allow the optimizer to select, some of these 7Ks based off of basically what the bucket system does, what the optimizer provides me. So what I like to do is I want to find 2 golfers that I like the most. And like I said, Corey Connors is one of them. Now, I'm not going to pair Corey Connors up with the Rory McIlroy. That would be insane. But then when I look at the rest of Rory's group, it's like, nah, I don't want to anchor any guys, in Rory's group. I look at the Finau Hatton group and it's like, well, Corey Connors is 10-1, Hatton is 9-9. That seems reasonable and I don't mind going there. But then I'm like, no, I don't think so either. Because it's like, you go 10-1 and 9-9 and it just makes, lineups really difficult to build around. Now, maybe there are some mispricings here. Like Sepp Straka has gotten a lot of attention in this DFS industry about being mispriced. Yeah, I don't see him being in the 9K range, though. He'd be like an 8K golfer, and I still wouldn't want to anchor a lineup around Sepp Straka. Seamus Powers seems interesting, but I really like Matt Jones and KH Lee in that group. So I'd rather just leave this one untouched and let the optimizer select golfers from it. Like, I don't want to anchor one guy here. So then I come down here a little bit further and I see Sergio, Gary Woodland, and Luke List. I also want to have access to all 3 of those golfers. I don't want to anchor around one of them. And I'm looking at Homa, Day, Ricky. Don't want to anchor there. Reed, Paul Casey, and Damon. I don't want to anchor there as well. Because a lot of these lineups can still be built. Like, I could still go Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, and Sergio Garcia. And then we could sprinkle in, oh God, I want to do Ricky Fowler, but like a Joel Damon, as well as a KH Lee. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 golfers that I'm taking from the marquee tee times, and I'm anchoring around Corey Connors and Keegan Bradley. So I could do something like that and be just fine. So I'm actually not going to anchor my 2 golfers around the marquee tee times. I'm going to come down into this honorable mention and go with Keegan Bradley. Corey Connors and Keegan Bradley are just one combo that I want to build lineups around. Now, the reason I love the Marquee tee time pairings is it's difficult for me to make a decision on a Monday and say, I know who I'm going to anchor my lineups around. I'm going to go with Corey Connors and Mark Leishman. You know, they're actually in the same group this time. Or like say Tony Finau and Tyrrell Hatton. I'm going to anchor my lineups around those guys. And then once the tee times get distributed to us, or we get to see them, they get published. There we go. The tee times get published, and now I see Tony Finau's playing with Tyrrell Hatton. That's great. That means I don't have to ever think about pairing these two guys up together. So it gives me more flexibility to like choose two golfers to build around. Like I just know this isn't a combo that I'm going to do. Same applies with like a Corey Connors, Mark Leishman, or an Abe Answer, Mark Leishman. I can, you know, go away from that. Same goes with like these lower price guys. Seamus Power, Matt Jones, KH Lee. I'm not going to pair two of those guys up together either. So now what I'm doing is I'm narrowing down the amount of combinations I can create with the optimizer. And when I anchor two golfers together, that even narrows it down even more, because now the optimizer is really only selecting 4 golfers, and I want them to be in the Marquee tee times. So I'll show you how to do that with the optimizer. I found a slick way to kind of incorporate that when building lineups. So now that we've been through here, I didn't go over every single golfer that were in the Marquee tee times. You guys can see that on the screen. So highly suggest you guys to pause the video whenever to double check on that, or just to see which golfers you want to anchor your lineups around. It's at your disposal. Now, the next piece I want to get into is the anchor buckets, or are the anchor buckets. And like I said, check out the preview video if you haven't already to kind of go over the bucket system that I talked about in that preview video. Because with the anchor buckets, what I did, I'll just show you the conditionals. Again, you actually can do this on the cheat sheet. I do have the bucket system right here available to you guys. I actually do have to update it, but it will be updated by the time you can actually look at this, or by the time you're watching this. What you can do is provide some conditionals. So again, there's a filter button here called the bucket system. And when you do that, you'll put this filter on, and you can follow along with me. I'm choosing less than or equal to. So go to this filter by condition and then select less than or equal to. And I chose a value of 27. You got to type that in. So I put 27 there. I also went to the minimum projections. Usually this is 25, by the way. 27 is just an arbitrary number. You could choose 30 if you wanted. You could do 20. I just want to do that because it's easier to select golfers from. And then come over here to the minimum projections. I just put greater than 0.9 just because it seems plausible to me. Remember, a minimum of 1 or greater means you want to play at least one golfer from that bucket. So it's simple to say, like, it's simple to use that as an anchor bucket logic, or a piece of logic. And then likewise for max projection, I want it greater than or equal to 2, because that's letting us know that, you know, it's seeing more than 2 golfers being inside the top 10. And that's what these projections are kind of looking at. What are these buckets, like how many golfers from these buckets are projected to be inside the top 10? And again, I'm only looking at a small pool of players when I do that conditional over here. So that being said, remember, we didn't talk about course history. We skipped past it because really we only have 2 tournaments within the last, I think it was like within the last 10 years, that we can actually use for PGA Tour course history. My data only goes back to 2013. So we're almost at that. It's almost 10 years. With that being said, 2 years isn't enough of course history for me, but we can still look at it. Like, I don't have an issue looking at it just to, you know, get a good feel of some of these other players. So I'll sort by salary, top, bottom. Again, you can follow along with me on the cheat sheet. And then I'll go to course history 1s. Now, course history 1 is your best course history that you can have. It's between 1 to 20 as an average finishing position. And if I scroll over to the course history piece right here, you can see what their course history is. Now, most of these are round numbers, which indicates to me that they've only probably played it once. I know Mark Leishman has played it twice though, so this course history he has is really good. And you can see Abe Ancer with his fourth place finish in 2018. We talked about that. He's, you know, one of the better golfers in this field based off course history. And again, this is course history for TPC Potomac. But there's Keegan Bradley. So I actually don't mind anchoring my lineups around some of these golfers. Now, here's an interesting piece. Usually whenever I, you know, apply this to the optimizer, so if I bring the optimizer up and we go down to course histories, I could easily just put a 1 here, and the optimizer will always select a course history 1 golfer if I so choose it to. Now, I don't know how I really feel about that because, again, we only have 2 years of course history, but we could if we wanted to. And we can select somewhere between 1 to 3. Remember, we always round up with the max projections and we always round down with the minimum projections. So it's 1 to 3. And it's kind of comfortable to select somewhere between 1 to 3. I don't mind going with 2 golfers. So if we look at this, in all honesty, my favorite duo here is Keegan Bradley and Anirban Lahiri. Absolutely love it. The rest of the guys, I guess I couldn't care less for. Like Mark Leishman, number 2 in my model. So there's something to be said there. Same goes with Abraham Ancer. Number 9 in my model, you know, back injury, whatever. He does have the low score here. We can also look at their bent grass stats. Seems some of these guys are really good with bent grass. I mean, look at Ricky Fowler, by the way. Used to be pretty darn good on bent grass. Maybe you take a flyer with him. I know I'm not. I'm certainly not going to. I don't care. Francesco Molinari has 1 event played at TPC Potomac, and he won it in 2018. So that's why he has that 1. He also is pretty decent on bent grass. Anirban Lahiri, remember, he's mostly a 6K, 7K golfer his entire career on the PGA Tour. That's actually a pretty good top 10 success rate on bent grass. 15% is pretty darn good. And then we've got some of these guys up here. Patrick Reed, Mark Leishman, Keegan Bradley. I don't mind going Keegan. I really like Keegan here. And Patrick Reed at 9K, that shouldn't be an issue there either. So yeah, I don't mind selecting at least 1 golfer from this. And all honesty, it's just still kind of pointing to Keegan for me. But some honorable mentions would be Abraham Ancer and Mark Leishman. So keep that in mind. Now, the next anchor bucket to look at is the recent form 2s. In all reality, if we looked at the recent form buckets, there weren't many in the recent form 1 category. Like, I guess if we sort through this, what was there? 4? 3. There's 3 golfers. One of them is Corey Connors, who I really like. With that few of golfers in this bucket, it doesn't make me feel very good about selecting more than one of them. Now, Matt Kuchar's in it. I do like Matt Kuchar this week. But pairing up Corey Connors with Matt Kuchar, I don't know, well, you know, if I like that. And if you looked at the bucket system from the preview video, we really only just want 1 golfer from this bucket at most. It doesn't even project to have 1 as the max. It's like 0.56 or something like that for the max. But again, we always round up because there's a good chance that'll happen. So I don't know. Corey Connors to me is still kind of the guy that I want to choose, but because he's in this bucket and it's not really looking that great, and I do like Matt Kuchar, I'm thinking about switching from Corey to maybe like an Abe Ancer or another 10K golfer, or maybe even a 9K golfer. I haven't decided yet. But anyways, we're looking at recent form 2s, and it's Tony Finau at the top. Maybe it's Tony. Maybe I switch from Corey Connors to Tony Finau. Since this is a bucket, one of the anchor buckets to definitely pick golfers from. He also has really good bent grass stats and, you know, decent course history. And he did play really well last week at the Mexico Open. So maybe it's Tony Finau. I'm not sure yet. Looking at the rest of them, there's Keegan once again. So Keegan just keeps popping out for us. I did talk about some 7K golfers on the Turn podcast that I really like Aaron Rye, Matt Jones. I also like Sepp Straka. I didn't talk about him there, but I also talked about David Lipsky. I talked about Anirban Lahiri. Like, those are all golfers in the 7K range that I do like quite a bit. Troy Merritt, we just talked about him with his rankings. He's inside the top 20 for me. So yeah, I don't mind, you know, a lot of these guys. Like Siwoo Kim seems like a fun little dart play to use. Yeah, that's your recent form 2s, which was the second anchor bucket. The third anchor bucket is choosing a 10K golfer. So we are anticipating at least one will be inside the top 10, if not 2. So if we're looking at, because I mean, look at this. We're projecting 1 at the minimum, 3 at the maximum. There's only 5 10K golfers. Rory, Tony, Abe Answer, Corey Connors, Matt Fitzpatrick. So if I were to use kind of like, you know, if I was to kind of like deduce, or not even so much that, I can't think of the dang term, but I'm going to pull 2 golfers out that I don't really like. That's Matt Fitzpatrick and Abram Answer. The other 3 golfers I can live with. I can build anchors around those 3 golfers. I could build anchor lineups. Or I'm sorry, I can anchor any of these 3 golfers around those lineups. Hey man, sometimes words are hard. So anyways, yeah, I don't mind that with the 10K range. So that's your third anchor bucket, is the 10K range. The fourth anchor bucket is strokes gained. So strokes gained 1, that is. Strokes gained 1 means all stats are positive. All strokes gained stats over the last year have been positive on average. And we only have a few golfers there. McIlroy, Fitzpatrick, Woodland, Seamus Power, and Kevin Streelman. So now a lot of it kind of points towards Rory in the last 2 buckets we talked about. Now remember, the anchor buckets have this conditional here less than 27 to make it easy for us to pick anchor or golfers to anchor our lineups around. If I remove that, it opens up a few more, and one of them is the strokes gained 3 bucket, which is what Corey Connors is a part of. So if I open this up to, of course, or the 3s, you can also see Tony Finau is a part of that. Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, Russell Henley, a lot of good choices. So what I'm projecting there is somewhere between 2 to 4 are going to be inside the top 10. So how I would build lineups based off that information is, if I'm really going Corey Connors and Keegan Bradley, I've basically just hit my minimum. So we really could just eliminate the rest of the strokes gained 3 golfers like Russell Henley, Casey, Homa, Siwoo Kim, Aaron Ride, Doug Gim, Vegas, Matt Jones, Damon, Pan, Lahiri, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on, because there's a lot of golfers in this bucket. I don't like that, because I do like a Lee Hodges. I do like a Tyler Duncan. I like a KH Lee. And if I can only select 4 golfers, I guess maybe it's not that difficult. Because if we did go like Corey Connors or even a Tony Finau, and we came down to a Keegan Bradley or a Russell Henley, which now I've just kind of thought of different combos that we can do there. Let me just double check. Are they in the same? Any of these guys in the same group? They are not. Cool. But if we did these guys, you know, that's the minimum. Like I said, it's 2.1, so 2 is the minimum. We do have 7 more golfers in this bucket than we typically do. That's also something to look at. When there are more golfers, the likelihood that we'll see more than what the minimum is goes up a little bit. But if we did a 10K, 9K, you know, we don't have a lot of salary remaining. So if I wanted to go down to an Anirban Lahiri and say a KH Lee, I've got my 4. You know, and I wouldn't want to select more than that. But I won't lie, it doesn't necessarily make me feel good that those are my anchors. I'm almost kind of considering a Keegan Rory lineup. So I have more access to some of these strokes gained 3 7K golfers. And I know a lot of people are going to be on Corey Connors this week. So interesting. We'll see what that looks. I mean, we're already at the lineup building portion of this video. So let's bring that optimizer up. And I want to show you something that I did that I think is super interesting. I did this during the last week's tournament, and I really liked how it turned out. So I have all these AM PMs in here. It's to show you what wave it is, and you can actually use that as a conditional. You know, if you wanted more PM golfers than AM golfers, you certainly could go here and you know, use the AM PM wave as a way to you know, I guess safeguard yourself from choosing too many golfers in one wave. But if I were to do something like this, so I'm going to make everything PM, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So this is a good way to group golfers, put golfers into a bubble, whatever, and say, hey, I want you to select at least this many golfers. So what I'm getting at is I can change all my marquee groups here that have numbers next to them to an AM tee time or an AM wave. And from there, so sometimes this is stupid. So basically, like I said, all I'm doing is adding the AM wave next to all my marquee tee times, which I can identify by the number that I have down. So with this, what I want the optimizer to then do is select at least 3 of these guys from the, like I said, these are my anchor plays, and no more than 4. So I can use this group in a different way than what I initially intended it, because now I have the optimizer looking at this like, hey, you need to select 3 golfers from the AM, the quote unquote AM wave. But again, these are my marquee tee times. And I also have all the conditionals in here to not select more than 1 from each of the groups. And that's what you see here. So it's pretty nifty. And so when I run that optimizer, we can see what the most optimal lineup is based off of all the other conditionals I put in there, by the way. So I put in all of the all the anchor plays basically in here. Or did I? Here, let me do this. I want to select 1 for course history 1. And we didn't have last year buckets because we didn't play this golf course last year. We have our last week buckets, which nothing. Yeah, I don't like that. Why would it do that? That makes no sense. Why would we go 6 last week 6s? Oh, 6 is the max actually, and the rest of these are pretty low. Okay. What I was telling you in the preview videos is I wouldn't mind anchoring around a last week 1, which is someone who topped 20 last week, and a last week 5, which is a missed cut. I wouldn't mind doing something like that. So let's see what that looks like. By the way, before adding these conditionals in, Rory McIlroy, Seamus Power, Matt Kuchar, Joel Damon, Troy Merritt, and Matthias Schwab were your top guys. That would be your most optimized lineup using some of these conditionals. Okay, yeah, no, this works. All right, let's see what it does now that I added the last week buckets in there, the conditionals. Tony Finau, Russell Henley, Matt Kuchar, Johnny Vegas, Joel Damon, Ryan Armour. Cool. So my top duos, if we're going to talk about duos, we kind of went through it. So like I really like Corey Connors, and I'm starting to like Tony Finau and Rory McIlroy just that much more. Which means I don't mind starting there with my lineups. So if I went Rory, I wouldn't mind doing a Rory Keegan or a Rory Russell Henley. So that's, and essentially that's the only combo that I'm thinking about doing. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything other than those. Same would apply for Tony Finau. Now, Tony Finau, I wouldn't mind going like a Finau into a Leishman lineup because those two aren't paired together. So I wouldn't mind doing something like that. I would stay away from Tyrrell Hatton because they are paired together. But I also wouldn't mind doing a Keegan or a Russell Henley to go with Tony Finau. And that obviously applies to Corey Connors. So I think it's Corey, Finau, or McIlroy as my 10K guys. And for my 9K range, it's definitely Bradley and Henley. And then from there, I don't know if I would go to a 9K golfer as an anchor lineup. I really don't trust Mark Leishman. He certainly can do well, but I just don't trust him. Same thing applies with Tyrrell Hatton. We talked about this at the Turn Fantasy Golf Pod yesterday, where Andrew kind of made a comment about Tyrrell Hatton. Like, if his iron game is on, he's one of the best. He basically said this. He's one of the best ones in the world, but he's super streaky. So I don't trust that either. But I think those are my only combos that I would do. Rory and Finau, or Rory Finau, or Corey Connors, and pair him up with Keegan Bradley or Russell Henley. That's kind of where I'm getting at. And the optimizer, when I put everything in, really liked Finau and Henley, which I wouldn't disagree with. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is one of the more popular duos that people are anchoring their lineups around. Let's see. Let me run it one more time because I think there was already somebody who was blocked out. Maybe it'll still be the same one. No, it wasn't. So Finau, Power, Webb Simpson, Kuchar, Vegas, Armour. Interesting. Not terrible. Let me just run another one. Let's see if anything else changes. It'd be nice to see like a Corey Connors. Ooh, Finau, Patrick Reed, Seamus Power, Kuchar, and Vegas. So I wouldn't want to see Kuchar and Vegas being in the same lineup over and over and over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit a no on Johnny Vegas. I just don't trust Johnny Vegas. I wouldn't want to play him, not with him coming off an injury. So now we have a new makeup. Rory McIlroy, Mark Leishman, Joel Damon, Lahiri, Schwab, and Schenk. So the fact that Rory got in there, it's making me very interested in playing Rory McIlroy this week. Let's see if I just remove Mark Leishman, if we can even get there with Rory and someone else. No. So now it goes to Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, Power, Kuchar, Lahiri, Putnam. Yeah, that's a sexy lineup. I like that lineup a lot. I will want to be playing that lineup. Let's see if it continues. Sure does. And Kramer Hickok's part of it. Perfect. This is my lineup. Like this is probably going to be my lineup. So if you want to copy me, go for it. But yeah, Corey Connors, Bradley, Power, Kuchar, Lahiri, Hickok. I like that lineup quite a bit. Since this creates a bunch of unique lineups, let me see how far it will go with Keegan and Corey, and that's it. Now it goes to McIlroy and Paul Casey. What if I do this? What if I go McIlroy, and I'll keep the 9Ks open, but let's have the optimizer select at least one 9K golfer. So we're going with Rory and a 9K. Let's see how often it chooses one of them. So Patrick Reed was the first one. Makes sense. It's actually another good lineup. Again with Patrick Reed. I'm sure he'll probably choose Patrick Reed more often than not because he's lower priced. Yeah, so it's just all it's doing is picking Patrick Reed. Ooh, there we go. Russell Henley. And then it skips the 8K range, which I don't mind doing. Wow, it drops down to 6,200 Vince Whaley. Probably not going that route. Very interesting nonetheless. All right, let me do a couple more. Curtis Thompson's going to be a big no to me. He's a big hooker of the golf ball. He's probably going to put it in the junk quite a bit. All right, so I don't want to see Patrick Reed. So what I'm going to do is just say no. I might be foreshadowing my own doom because Patrick Reed could do well at this golf course. I don't trust it, but he certainly could. All right, so we crossed out Reed, and now we have Patrick Reed Rory McIlroy and Keegan Bradley. And I don't mind this one either. So if it's not Reed, it looks like it's going Bradley and Henley, which is exactly what I'd want it to do. But we're dropping into the low 6K range a little too much. This one's actually okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Bradley, he just ranks out really well. I would want to play Bradley as much as I possibly could. I don't know about Matthias Schwab. Like, I don't care to play Matthias Schwab that much. But anyways, you guys get the point. I'm not going to bore you with going over, you know, many more lineups. But yeah, my anchors, I mean, I guess we can count them, right? So it's probably Rory Keegan, that's 1. Rory Russell, that's 2. Finau Bradley, 3. Finau Russell, 4. Corey Bradley, that's 5. And it's going to be 6 total. 6 total duos that I'm considering. It could change. I don't think I'm going to invite Abram Ancer or Fitzpatrick. I'll just play them in a couple winner-take-alls, just so I can recoup my money if they end up going on and winning this tournament and I have a good lineup to go with them. But yeah, it's going to be a hard choice who I want to start with. I mean, I'm mostly going to be going to Keegan Bradley over Russell Henley. I am really leaning towards Corey and then maybe going to Rory. Finau would probably be my 3rd choice. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I have nothing else to give. I'm okay with that. I do like Sergio, so I would love to see a Sergio lineup. In fact, I can coerce my optimizer to give me what I want. So go ahead, give me Corey, give me Mr. Bradley, and give me Sergio. So I really like these 3 guys. Give me something good, optimizer. Come on. Damon, Lahiri, and Schenk. I don't mind Schenk whatsoever. Solid lineup. Oh yeah, Matthias Schwab. Let's get him. I don't mind Matthias Schwab, but I don't have ownership like kind of canceling out some of these lineups, so I'm gonna have to do it manually. I might break the optimizer because it might need him, and it doesn't. Wow, Kuchar, Knox, Satoshi Kodaira. That's pretty sexy. Lahiri and Whaley. Yeah, I probably won't do. I won't do Whaley. Merritt joins in with Putnam. I don't mind that. I like this trio, and I like the names that are coming up. Yeah, I don't like Curtis Thompson. Vegas and Donald. Wow, that's an interesting one. Webb and Johnson. Ugh, gross. Johnson Wagner. No, thank you. Here, I am going to manipulate this more. Harmon and Seifert. That's actually an interesting one. I'm going to go with 0 low 6Ks and make sure it just doesn't select a low 6K anymore. Armour, Cam Davis. Wow. With Lahiri. Damon, Lahiri, Nick Taylor. These are names that Joe or Andrew Putters and I talked about on the Fantasy Golf Pod. So super interesting. Michael Thompson. I don't mind going back to him this week. Bramlett. Wow. Hey, I don't mind these lineups. It's like it's either Kuchar, it's Merritt. I don't remember the other one. I think Damon keeps popping up too. Here's a good one: Lashley and Hickok. Okay, so no more. I could go through this and just keep constantly showing you all the different combinations that we possibly could do. But yeah, I'm liking a lot of those lineups. So just a reminder, you can have this optimizer by being subscribed to SweetSpotDFS, as well as commenting down below your 2 favorite golfers you're going to be anchoring your lineups around, and then emailing me right there, contact information right there, sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Just say, hey, I'd like to use the optimizer. Not only is that available to you, the cheat sheet is also available to you guys. There's a link in the description to go along with all of that. Hey man, $30 can be yours. Tell a friend, tell a family member, come subscribe to SweetSpotDFS on the YouTube channel. Let's get to our goal of 400 subscribers, and I will run this giveaway at the end of the week. If we don't, I'm shaving $5 off of it. It's going to be worth $25 next week. All your entries that you put in this week will go to next week. That way we don't lose any progress. It isn't for naught for you guys. We'll keep all those entries until we finally hit the goal. So yeah, $30. And then obviously, if you haven't signed up for PrizePicks yet, what are you waiting for? It's a fun way to play fantasy. Kind of easy, if I'm being honest. And a lot of people are getting into it, providing a lot of good tools to use. I don't have any tools to use just yet, but it's not to say I'm not working on any. So, you know, in time, hopefully we have the whole kit and caboodle, and we can take advantage of this PrizePicks thing. But yeah, it's super easy. That's it, guys. That's a strategy video. I will have a PrizePicks video tomorrow, my favorite picks, and my strategies for rounds 2, 3, and 4. So look out for that one. Also, you can get another free entry by commenting on that video. So go do that. But that's all that I have for you guys. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.